time for a Chicago Bears Now mailbag. I'm Harrison Graham. Jack Daniels, always a solid whiskey. Is Velus Jones or Dante Pettis more likely to make this team? It's a good question. I would lean Velus just because they did invest a third-round pick into him, but it is year 3 now, so it's kind of like that equity is kind of a wash. But if it's close, they would probably keep him. Now, if Pettis is just clearly the better player in camp and in the preseason, then you got to go with the guy who's producing. You're trying to win games. So I would lean Velus right now, but it wouldn't shock me if Dante made this team. We'll get to Michael Horowitz in a second, but pick one for us. Who you got making this team? Type VJ for Velus Jones Jr. or type DP for Dante Pettis. If you had to pick one, who you got making the roster? VJ for Velus Jones, DP for Dante Pettis. We got a big $100 super chat coming in from Michael Horowitz. Boom! Shout out to Horowitz. He says, what would be a season-changing signing? What is one player? Bears chat now. What can bolster the old line, offensive line, or bolster the defense? What would be a season-changing signing? What is one player? Bears now. What, or would you say could bolster? Oh, he kind of double sent that. O-line or a season-changing signing on the offense or defense? O-line, I mean, if your interior is struggling and Connor Williams gets healthy, that could be a pretty significant move. He's a starting caliber guard and center. So, if training camp there's some issues or in the preseason or if there's an injury, like if he's ready to rock, he's still recovering right now, but if he's ready early in the season or right before the season, you could bring him in. Defense, I mean, I don't know if it's going to be season-changing, but I'd certainly like to add another pass rusher like Calais Campbell or someone like that. So, certainly a possibility. Hit that like button if you love the Bears. Next up on our mailbag is Ghost Types. What ranking do you see the Bears defense by the end of the year? They should be top 10. The pass rush could hold them back. After Montez Sweat, there's questions there. You're banking a lot on Gervon Dexter. You need DeMarcus Walker to produce a little bit more. We'll see if they do sign someone like I mentioned. But I think you need to at least be a top 10 group. And if the pass rush is better than expected, I think top 5 is at least a possibility. Caleb Williams keeps calling it a top 5 defense. So, he's hyping up his boys over there. Hit that subscribe button here on Chicago Bears Now. We're less than 200 subs away from our next milestone, 94,000. We're at 93,830. If you're a big Bears fan, if you want to be caught up on everything surrounding this football team, we're the channel for you. Go ahead and subscribe today. Jay Reezy, trade idea. If Keenan leaves, pair him with a 4 to the Raiders for Davante Adams just to get back at the Cheeseheads. What do you mean? So is he already gone, or are you trading him? I'm a little confused there. You can't really trade him after the year because he'll be 33 and a free agent. He's not under contract. But I guess hypothetically, if you traded him in the season, that's not going to happen though. That's not going to get you Davante Adams. But it'd be funny if Adams ever played for the Bears to get back at the Packers. That'd be fun. We got Sam Lecterra. Yo, Harrison, are there updates on potential talks between Chicago and San Francisco for Josh Dobbs? I need to DM you about this. What is your Josh Dobbs deal? I don't know if we've ever talked about this, but I don't know if it's a bit or what. Was the Bears picking him off 4 times last year? Not enough evidence that he's not very good, but yeah, I don't think there's any updates there for Joshua Dobbs. Kellen Burke, what edge do you think we sign? Ngakoue seems the most likely. They're familiar with him, same system. It would probably cost half of what it did last year. I'm still hopeful for Calais Campbell, but I'd be cool with Ngakoue. I think he'd give you at least what he gave you last year and hopefully a little bit more. We got Caleb Williams jerseys available for purchase. Go to chatsports.com/Caleb. Get that link down in the comments and description of this video. It's chatsports.com/Caleb. Go ahead, click and shop today. We appreciate all the support we get for people who subscribe and all that. But if you want to get a jersey, do it through us. Helps us out. chatsports.com/Caleb. From Petey, could the Bears give Sanborn and extension. They could. He's a free agent after this year, so I guess that would make him eligible. I don't know how that works with UDFAs. I would think yes, but yeah, I mean, they could, but I think he'll also be restricted after this year, so they kind of control his rights anyway. I'll have to double check on all that, but I don't think they would. I think they'd play this year out, but he's certainly valuable. And look, if Tremaine Edmunds doesn't have a great year this year, they could cut him to save money after this year. They can get out of that contract, and they could just go with Edwards and Sanborn, and maybe Noah Sewell's ready to be your third linebacker by then. A real shake is Nate Davis, the third mistake in Pole's term. I assume you're talking Claypool and Velus as the first two. It's possible. I mean, even if you're half glass full on Nate Davis right now, I think even the biggest Nate Davis fan would say up to this point it hasn't lived up to $10 million per year. Now, there's still time. If he goes out there and has a great year this year, that erases a lot, because last year, I give him mostly a pass for last year. He had a death in the family. There's a lot going on there. But if he goes out there, doesn't practice much in training camp, struggles this year, gets hurt or gets benched or whatever, it's going to be a failed signing. So we're not there yet. I thought he did have a stretch last year where he played fairly well, but it did not sustain, and it especially wasn't that good after he returned from injury. You guys know the motto, FGB. Get it going in the comment section down below. Get those FGBs in the chat, and we appreciate everybody who has supported this show. Light Shimmy, who do you think could be the Bears' possible signings for next season? For next season. If there's some free agent pass rushers, I would say any of those guys. Who knows? I'll have to look ahead at some guys over there. I mean, if you want to talk internal, guys on one-year deals or expiring deals, Keenan Allen, do you bring him back? That's going to be a big decision you have to make. A guy like Coleman Shelton, if he's your starting center, do you run it back with him? I think it's going to be Ryan Bates, but the Nate Davis thing throws kind of a wrench into that. So, we'll dive deeper into next offseason once we're closer. But I would say right now, based on the roster construction, interior offensive line and pass rushers are what you're going to be targeting. Brandon, would you take the Bears missing the playoffs if it means we get Ben Johnson as our new head coach? I mean, I'd rather make the playoffs. But if that was a consolation prize, sure. But I'd still take making the playoffs. You need to start making the playoffs. The roster's too talented. I'm not in the business of throwing years away just because we don't love the head coach. If they miss the playoffs, it's probably a sign you do have to change head coaches. If that ends up happening, sure. But I would still rather just be a good team, right? I'd rather make the playoffs. Couple more here. Douglas Schleif. Why do guys who make the practice squad never make the team the following year? I mean, it happens sometimes, but, guys who are on the practice squad are on the practice squad for a reason. They're average players. They're good college players, but not good enough to be, consistent NFL players. So, I would say that's really it. They're just not quite good enough. We got Creel, and then we'll get to Horowitz Super Chat. He says, who gets a contract extension at the end of the year? I would hope DJ Moore, right? I think he's at the top of the list. He's got 2 years left on his deal. If they don't do it now, you would hope after this year they would. I think he's the next big contract to get done. Tevin Jenkins, right now there's no movement, but I think he would be a candidate for that if he has a healthy and solid season. Does a guy like... Who else am I missing here? Jaquan Brisker, Kyler Gordon, those 30-year guys, if they really have good years, do you lock them down early? They're going to have to pick and choose which guys they keep and which guys they start paying. If you feel good about a player, it's better to pay them early than late because you can keep that price tag a little bit down. Michael Horowitz, again, appreciate the super. Harrison, I would love your insight on who would be the yards from scrimmage leader this year. I don't know why when you send super, sometimes it doubles up. Gosh. I would guess. I think it's between 3 people, if I do really guess. DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, DeAndre Swift. I guess it depends how much they kind of divvy up the carries. If Swift hits 1,000 yards rushing, I'd probably say Swift because I think he'll have at least 250 receiving, so that put him at 1,250. All purpose. So that means Keenan or DJ would have to hit 1250 plus receiving, which they can, but with how many weapons, the ball's going to get spread around. So, it really depends on how much Swift carries the ball. I would say that's going to play a big role in that dynamic. All right, a lot of good questions there. Appreciate you for submitting them. You can find me on Instagram at HGramNFL. That's where you can find me for more Bears content, some short form content. If you want to follow me over there, I would appreciate it. So go ahead and do so.